Okay, forgive the mess, but this is my F350 1988 with a diesel, and I am currently have the bed off to do an assortment of fixes, and I just finished putting the forward fuel tank sender back in, and I replaced the existing one with a new one, or at least a portion of it. And I pulled all that junk out of the fuel tank. I think that's the shower head or whatever that Ford put on there for the fuel tank pickup. So now I'm moving on to the rear tank, and I'll compile some imagery of what's going on in there as I get it. Anyway, in general, I just brushed around the what's in the thingy, that thing, to get all the road dirt, 30 years worth, away from it so it doesn't fall in the tank. To get this off, there's a ring. You can see the tab right here. There's 4 of them spaced around here, so you need kind of a large wrench. Something like this that can sort of span the gap. So you would take these off, expose 2 of the tabs that you can get to, and then you can position this wrench, with 2 hands of course, in a position so you could turn the ring. Just be mindful of taking these off first so you don't break them. These are plastic. They come off very easily. These clips, these retaining clips, just push right out with 2 hands, of course. It's much easier. And then these, you twist them a little bit once these clips are out and they come right off. Put them in a bag or something, or put a bag over the end of them because they do drip. Or if you don't care, don't worry about it. And then this unit comes out very carefully. So now I've loosened or removed the clips on the fuel supply and return lines into the tank, and now they just come right off. Don't lose those clips. They look somewhat proprietary. In either case, as I said already, it's gonna leak. So, I don't know. This works better on the forward tank. Maybe I won't worry about that. We'll take the clip. So, that was the easy part. Pull those out of the way. Take note as to which goes where. I'm sure it matters because of how the fuel pickups work. I'll get this loose and then film some more. Okay, so this turned out to be a whole lot more difficult to remove than the forward tank, and I believe it's from corrosion, because you'll notice this is a nice, generally rusty brown, versus the forward tank, which is very, very clean. That's how I found it, underneath all the 30 years of road dust, as opposed to that underneath not too much road dust. Same time frame though. In either case, it was difficult, and I got it off by using one of these in a manner that you're not supposed to, with one of those. So I definitely broke the rules on that one, but what I did was I punched it down around everything to kind of try and break the corrosion loose between the pieces. And then what I had to do was I worked it in and out like this with the hammer and with a small tire iron. I just put it in here and pry it against it very gently just until it moved, and I watched the part of the ring right around here kind of deflect inward, and I just went all the way around a couple of times, and then I used the punch to push it back out so it wasn't some funky shape. And then, as I was doing that, I was going around like this, and I would put the punch at the end of the tab. Be sure to note this thing is normal threaded, so to speak, in that it has a catch on this side and not a catch on that side, so lefty loosey, righty tighty applies. So I went around on this and I knocked it a little bit here, and then I went and knocked it a little bit there, although that was towards the end. So I knocked a little bit here, and then I went around to each one of these in sequence, and I could watch the whole thing kind of go around in sort of a weird, you know, well, it sort of shifted a little bit around like this as it was turning. So anyway, got it off, and now that this is off, you can clearly see it's totally rusted under there. Clearly see as soon as the camera focuses. Or not. Anyway. But yeah, so focus. Yeah, it was totally rusted underneath there. That was what was causing all the friction. I suspect it would be common on the rear tank because it's taking more stuff in the forward tank. It seems to be pretty well protected. So yeah, I'm going to clean all that up. And this is just stuck on from the O-ring that's under there. As soon as I break it loose and rock it back and forth a little bit, it'll come right out. There's nothing in there, but I want to clean up all that dirt first so it doesn't fall in the tank. Alright, I just cleaned up all the dirt and broke it loose, just so this was easy to do on film. And apparently I just switched tanks, so I got very lucky. That is right there at the top. Anyway, I haven't looked at this yet, so just kind of twist it out slowly to keep everything nice and easy and from breaking and all that fun crap. Anyway, so, oop, don't drop the camera, it's expensive. Stinking cell phones today. So anyway, this is the fuel level sensor that's sort of almost working. I'll go into depth on how to fix that in a second, but the seal under here is some little foamy D-lima bobber. It seems like it's in okay shape, so I'm going to reuse it. Now I'll just clean off the seal and the seat, and oh bummer, I gotta turn off the camera to get the flash on, or flashlight. Anyway, let's see if we can find the shower head. No such luck. There's only so many places it could be in here. Oh. No. I don't see it. Well, that shiny spot on the bottom of the tank sort of looks like a ring of divots. That's where it was. I could definitely tell that's where it was in my forward tank. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. It's gotta be in there. Anyway. Alright, now we're on at the bench. Push my stuff out of the way. So this is the fuel pickup. And if we hold it level like that, obviously we can see it's got our fuel level sensor on the one side and it goes up and down. But if we go down to here, we'll notice that the fuel level sensor at empty is below our pickup tube. So what I've been running into is I'll get down some point and fuel sloshing around, I'll be actually sucking some air, and that causes issues with my IDI. So I'm gonna put some hose that I picked up from O'Reilly's or wherever auto parts store. It's this stuff. I'm sure other stuff works. It's fuel rated, but it's going to be submerged in the tank, and I'm just going to use it to extend a couple of inches down to the bottom of the tank, and then cut some notches on the sides so it doesn't get suction stuck to the bottom and kill my truck, because that would suck in more ways than one. Anyway, so another issue I'm having is this fuel level sensor itself is not actually reading correctly. It should make a nice ratchety sound, very faint ratchety sound, and it doesn't at all. And here's my El Cheapo replacement. It is that brand. I got it off of eBay. It seems to work. I used it on my forward tank, tested it already, and it actually reads, and other stuff. Anyway, what I noticed on my forward tank is that from the factory, this is spot welded in place. So I have no hope of attaching my new unit to my new level sensor to my old pickup. So what I did was I took out a part from here and put it in there and soldered this wire to the new part, which is this. This is the old part from the front. Hello, camera. Can we please focus? Nope. Fine. Focus. Oops, of course. Anyway, it's just a variable resistor, more or less. As we can see, I'm missing some contacts, and that's what was causing my issues, mostly, because my needle would bounce all over hell in creation if it would move at all. It was either fully full or bouncing, and I couldn't tell what was going on. I just knew I could go about 150 miles before I'd start sucking air. And this corner over here is where the wire attaches. So I'll open the other units and show you where those go. Alright, so I've already opened this. All I wound up doing was pushing this clip on this one side down a little bit, and then the whole back plate pops off and exposes the wonderful innards. And there's that famous piece that we're just going to take from this unit and install in the other one. Same idea on here. I just pushed in on this side, and it released that clip right there, and then the plastic cover comes off. It slides off that way. Be mindful of the wire, because it's going to be wrapped around for whatever reason. There we go. Now, look at that. I haven't actually looked at this yet, but if I get enough light on it, we can see I've got a couple of missing contact patches. So yeah. Although I have to say that looks a little bit different than the other one. Hopefully it don't make a difference. Oh well. It is what it is. At least I'll have a reading. But getting that board out of there is a little tricky. It's a matter of pushing those tabs out of the way carefully. These ones, I don't have a little pointer. Little pointer, come to me. Aha. That'll work. So push those tabs here and here out of the way to get the board to move this direction, and then we push this one out of the way to get it to lift past this catch. This is really the only thing that's holding it in here. And once it comes up, you rotate it 90 degrees so that the wire is still at the bottom and this edge is coming out of the top up here, and then it goes out over there. Then you just unsolder this connection and solder the new one in. Easy squeezy. Okay, so I've already removed this housing from here, or vice versa, whatever. This one was a little tricky because it had this piece on here, so I couldn't remove the float arm. And I'm trying to be careful not to bend that contact too much, that little piece of metal that's sort of bent. In the forward tank it was easy, I could remove the whole thing. But this one not so much. So anyway, now we just touch this with a little bit of heat. Make sure you have all the fuel off of here so it's not combustible anymore. Come on. There. Voila. It has been desoldered. Now we can take this one and compare it to my new one. We'll notice that the pattern of the stripes on this side on the new one is much more dense. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have fuel reading. This is with a full tank, this is with an empty tank. So I'm going to have all of my gauge readings from 3/4 of a tank to empty. So I'll never have a full tank. Bummer. I guess I bought the wrong piece. Oh well, it's better than what I got. So I'll just resolder that on, not whilst holding the camera because it's a two-handed job. And here we go, it's soldered in place. So I'm gonna put it all back together and throw it in the truck, see if it works. Alrighty, well, I got it back together. It was a bit of a fight because, well, it just was. I don't recommend doing that unless you can, I don't know, have some dexterity and tiny needle nose pliers to bend things back into place when you get it screwed up. And a little patience. Or just buy a whole new one of these. They're not particularly cheap, but I'm sure they have all the pieces in the right place and you don't have to worry about it. So now, I'm going to take the plug, shove it on there, and it's fully out of fuel. Yeah, out of fuel, full tank. Out of fuel position. Testing. Can't see anything. Okay. So let's see, that's the forward tank. Flashy light. Okay, forward tank is at half a tank. Just switch to the rear tank and it's falling to empty. Oh, that's not good. Huh. Well, that's what was happening before. What's going on, I wonder? Well, let's put this up here at... Oh. Balancing act. Okay, that's at half a tank. And it's still on the rear. Oh, now it says half a tank. Pfft. Stupid sensor. So now I know I'm in trouble when it just magically says I have a whole bunch of fuel. Nope. More time. Yeah, whatever, that works. Full tank. And it's climbing, it's climbing, it's climbing, and it's leveled off at 3/4. No, it's still going a little. That beeping is so annoying. Oh, oh, oh. Well, there you have it. That's actually not that bad. I was expecting worse. Cool. So I get almost a full tank. And of course it'll go down to empty just fine. Sweet. Oh. Oh. I'm gonna end you. Ah. That's better. Okay. So knowing that, now I guess the only thing I have left to do is extend the what's in the thingy with some hose. We all see where that is. I guess I'll just extend it down another inch and a half. And actually what I do is I make it like, I'll make it like this long, and I'll shove it in and test fit it and see how far off the bottom or how much it's tipping this surface up from sealing. And what I'll do is I'll just cut it shorter and shorter until it lays flat. That way I know it's at the bottom. I'm not just guessing. And then I'll cut a little notch in it. I'll show you that when I get there. Okay, first run in the trial fitment of that hose. It's that long. Let's see if we can get it against a non-busy background. Okay, so it's that long. And I'll do this before and after, and we'll see what it winds up being. So it looks like that's the winner. Didn't get much shorter. I cut about an inch off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off of the sides, probably this side. What I'll do is I'll nip diagonally from the bottom, starting at the center and going out towards the side of the hose as you see it here. So it'll be sort of it'll look like a point from here, and it'll look like a fork from here. I'll do it and then show you. So here it is. I nipped off the ends. What that does is it keeps the fuel tank from getting sucked up to the mouth of the hose and preventing flow. Saw it on a forum, not my idea. Good idea though, definitely do it. Nothing like running out of fuel with a full tank of diesel. Anyway, simple, easy fix. And that'll sit at the bottom of the tank. And I'll get all but the last few drops. Finally. I was wondering about that because, yeah, the original pickup depth was up here, and I've just gained all that. That's awesome. So, sweet. Alrighty, got my hose clamp on here. Don't forget to do that. Not that it's really necessary. Oh yeah, by the way, this hose is 3/8. It fit perfectly. It was a nice tight fit and all that fun stuff. Notice that the cap here is keyed. Notice the notches on there. It doesn't go in very well unless those are perfectly aligned. Just FYI. And there, like a glove. And I can tell that's just touching the bottom because it's pushing up just at the top, just a little bit, which is perfect. So I'm assuming it's in the right spot. I think on the bottom side of the tank. Oh, bumper. I think on the bottom side of the tank, yeah, there's that. So I'm pretty sure that's where it's resting, which is a good place for it to be. It'll always have a little puddle of fuel to suck from while the rest of the fuel in the tank is sloshing around as I'm taking a tight corner at 55 and drifting. Yeah, right. Anyway. So I'm going to throw the ring back on there, probably a little bit of lubricant of some sort, and then put some covering over it to prevent road dirt. And I'm hoping the lubricant will prevent it from seizing over the next, I don't know, 10, 15 years, however long it takes for that part to wear out. So, check back then and I'll let you know what happens. Yeah. Hook the lines back up and good to go. And that's pretty much how that was done for fuel tank, fuel level sensors. Not rocket science, a little more difficult than I anticipated, but not hard with the bed off. I'm assuming all these rules apply if you were to drop the tanks on the ground. You'd have to, obviously, disconnect the fuel and the electrical beforehand, before you drop the tank, which would be a little difficult to do because that's up and around behind stuff, over the axle. That would be really difficult to do, I would think. Not impossible. Oh yeah, bear in mind, I took my spare tire off, so there's a lot of extra space under there that's not normally available. So yeah, I think this is a bed off operation. My hat's off to the guys who could do it without taking the bed off. Anywho. So yeah. So this is probably stupid for a number of reasons. I wound up cleaning up the bottom of this ring just a little bit because it was corroded, and I tried to brush the adjoining surface on here as best I could to remove the excessive rust. But instead of applying grease like I thought I was going to, I'm just going to hit it with some anti-seize because I was like, doy. Anyway, this could be a dumb idea. Who knows? But I'm just going to apply it to the ring and then see where it goes from there. And then I'll cover it with some tape to keep road dirt off of it as much as possible. So I started it with hammer and this thingy, and then finished it with this guy, and it twisted on just like it was supposed to come off. Nice and easy, which was cool. So now all that's left is hooking up the last couple facilities and can be done with it. Slide the clips in there in a second. Yeah, there's probably some form of something or other compound that's supposed to go in here. White lithium grease or something. I don't know. Looks like beeswax to me. I'm just going to say there's plenty left in there from last time. Spiffy. And I don't know what this is, but don't forget to hook it back up. Let's see, it was... Sure. It was right there. Yeah. We'll say it was there. The clip. Uh-oh. Where's my other clip? Off-camera scavenger hunt. Oh no, wait, they're both in there. They were nested together. Like BFFs, but not. And that just slides right in. One. Two. Done. Whoop whoop. Now let's see how much fuel I actually have. Oh god, the annoying beeps again. Let's see, now it's on rear tank. Huh. How is it only reading half full? Is that right? That thing was filled to the brim. Interesting. Well, I guess I'll have to do some mileage tests to see how far I can go on a full tank now. But that's good to know. Good to know. So, there you have it. Whoa. One and done. And, you know, the rest of the mess to go with it. I still have some other stuff to do on this truck, so I'm not putting the bed back on just yet. But that's how the fuel level sending units are replaced. At least how I did it.